Hello, I'm Robert Emmet Hernan. I'm head of BlueStack Productions, the publisher of Irish Environment, an online magazine covering environmental matters in the island of Ireland. Since the founding of the magazine 10 years ago in 2009, we've witnessed a decade of growth and consolidation in the environmental movement on the island of Ireland, with significant advances in the protection of the environment. So on this 10th anniversary, I thought I'd say a few words about one of the critical issues, climate breakdown, that reflects the advances that have been made. Now, I note, of course, that there have been important developments in other areas, including biodiversity, air and water pollution. 10 years ago, climate change was subject to widespread doubt and denial and criticism. But now, 10 years later, we can confidently say climate breakdown is real, it is happening now, it is tied to our reliance on fossil fuels, and it's going to get worse and may stay that way. This is all undisputed. Now, you've understood the reality of this proposition for many years, but it's because of your hard work that that proposition is now becoming accepted widely across this island. Here are some of the highlights that have taken place over the last 10 years as a result of your hard work. Ireland finally passed the climate action law. Fracking has been banned in the Republic of Ireland, is being hotly contested in Northern Ireland. Ireland declared a climate and biodiversity emergency. The UK Parliament declared a climate emergency. Ireland was the first country to divest from fossil fuels. The Irish Citizens' Assembly overwhelmingly recommended a host of specific actions for the government to take to protect us against climate breakdown. Ireland's Joint Committee on Climate Action adopted many of the Assembly's recommendations and added a few of its own in its report. The Irish EPA has been much more outspoken in pushing for concrete action by the government. The Climate Change Advisory Council has been progressively proactive in urging the government to take action. There are more voices encouraging and demanding that the agricultural sector take its responsibility fully for the greenhouse gas emissions it's generating. Stop Climate Chaos was formed in the Republic of Ireland from a coalition of civil societies to address climate breakdown. Nature Matters in Northern Ireland was formed with environmental organizations dealing with Brexit and its implications for the environment. Established Irish media covers environmental matters almost on a daily basis. And we now can talk about climate breakdown instead of climate change. Now, on a wider stage, many multinational corporations understand and support climate action, and they know that renewable energies and decarbonized electricity for buildings and cars is virtually inevitable. In fact, the US car manufacturers are currently aligning themselves with California to push for more stringent car efficiency standards than Trump administration is willing to do. Even fossil fuel companies understand the reality of climate breakdown. However, they will continue to fight to delay the inevitable as long as they can. All of this happened because you grounded your arguments and policy on sound science that has withstood sustained and at times vicious attack from vested interests. But, there's always a but, the struggle's not over. It's just being reworded. Still, many fossil fuel supporters vehemently deny the realities of climate breakdown. Yet what we're now seeing is a change in tactics and language by those who accept the reality of climate change but want to delay it. Rather than denial of climate change, we're hearing qualifications and the need to delay. The argument is becoming, maybe something to this climate change, climate breakdown thing, but so much remains uncertain, unsettled, and so much money's at stake. Maybe it would be best not to take climate actions until as yet unknown technological developments resolve many of these questions. We should wait until all the various variables are sorted out before we commit to any drastic, expensive corrective action. We need to be cautious and slow down. These kinds of arguments require us to develop new counter-arguments and strategies. But as inevitable as renewable energy likely is, we still have a long way to go. A recent report by Axios reported that in 1987, 81% of the world's energy consumption came from fossil fuels, oil, natural gas, and coal. In 2017, 30 years later, it's still 81% coming from those same fossil fuels, in large part because of the developing economies in Asia. So how do we counter these buts and denials and regressions? First, we stay fast with solid science. That is the foundation for our arguments and counter-arguments. We rely on the IPCC to its critical work in developing and expounding a scientific consensus in climate matters. We can develop policies. A policy switch of $400 billion in fossil fuel subsidies to a $400 billion tax on fossil fuels would be useful. But we need to realize that science is not going to take us all the way to a zero carbon world. Socio-political action is necessary. But luckily we're seeing the mobilization of citizens at large, and especially the youth. We have a whole series of youth movements across the world. There's Extinction Rebellion, born in the UK, but it's extended well beyond that. There's Sunrise Movement, one of the key factors in promoting the Green New Deal in the United States. There's Children's Trust, developing lawsuits for youth. There's the Alliance for Climate Education. There's the Youth Climate Movement. And of course, there's Greta Thunberg. They bring a boldness and brashness and directness to the conversations on climate breakdown, and at times some blistering attacks. Bill McKibben has referred to the youth movement as, quote, a climate moment. It's too soon to see if these shoots grow or wither. Remember the Occupy Wall Street, where 99%ers were protesting against the 1%ers? And that group formed in 2011 and lasted for several years beyond that, but is largely gone now. Of course, it's not just the youth. There's the IPCC and the UN. There's Pope Francis, who continues to expound on his encyclical letter Laudato Si. And the Irish Citizen Assembly represented a wide range of ages and backgrounds. But socio-political action, whether through street protest or political campaigns, is needed to build on the successes of the past 10 years. And as you well know, we may not have more than another 10 years to take decisive climate action. Good luck to all of us, and keep up the good fight.